Hello and welcome to We Are Crafted in His Image. We are going to be working on our new Coco and Crafts class using the Grassy Grove stamp set. This will be our first project. But before I begin, I want to apologize for my voice and for any sniffles. I am fighting allergies really bad. Everything is blooming here in Wisconsin at the moment, so I apologize in advance if I sound terrible. And there may even be a sneeze thrown in here or there in the video, but anyway. Let's get started. This is what is included in the kit this month. We have the Grassy Grove stamp set. I had several of my ladies ask for some cards that could be used for sympathy or even more masculine cards, and so that's why I opted for this stamp set. It's a lot different than what I usually use. With that, you will be getting an Old Olive stamp pad and 4 re-inkers this time. Balmy Blue, Blackberry Bliss, Pale Papaya, and Smoky Slate. And if you have done very many of my Coco and Crafts, we've actually used all of these colors. So now you will have a refill for your ink pads for those colors. And of course you've got your 4 projects that we're going to work on. And yummy chocolate. My hubby went to the Lindt store in the Mall of America and picked us up some goodies. So that will be included. So let's go ahead and get started with our very first project. I'm going to pull out my kit, which has our finished sample in it. And again, my kit is only going to do, I'm only going to do 1 card, but your kit has enough to do 2. So go ahead and pull out your stuff. Now, you will need a few items that were not included in the kit. I will be using Evening Evergreen and Soft Suede, but any darker green and kind of a medium brown ink will work. Whatever color you want your deer to be really would be your brown shade. And also you're going to either want a paintbrush and water or one of our water pens. Okay, so let's go ahead, pull out. Now I have 2 envelopes here because I did not stamp my sample envelope. I'm going to do that today. And in your one of your envelopes there is 2 little deer cutouts from the die set, which I'm going to show you real quick. These are the dies that you can get that coordinates with this stamp set. This one is my favorite, of course, but we're going to use several of those in the projects. Then you also have, this is our card base. You have a, why do I have 2 of these? I'm trying to figure out. This is the card we're going to make. I'm not sure why I have 2. I only need 1. This is for the inside, outside, and now this piece, the smaller of the 2 whites, you'll notice is a little different color and it feels different. This is actually watercolor paper, and all 4 of the projects this month we're going to be using watercolor paper and some fun watercoloring techniques. So that is our first thing we're going to get out. We're going to stamp on this and this and the envelopes. So let me, I'm kind of lost here right now. Pull out my stuff so I can get going. First thing we need is, we're going to need the trees. I'm going to go and get all my stamps mounted. We're going to need the trees, the big pines. We're going to need this rather large stamp, so you're going to need one of the longer, what block is this? This is block I. Let me flip it this way, it's easier. And you're going to need the little deer. Oh dear. There we go. So, I don't think, now there is some space here if you want to stamp like the thank you, and there may even be room for the sometimes you need to know that someone really cares in this spot. I'm leaving mine blank so that it can be used for whatever I happen to need it for later on. And we're going to start with our stamping of the trees. No, we're going to start with the stamping of this big stamp. So, because I know I'm going to stamp off of my thing, I'm going to bring in some scrap paper here. There we go. And my Old Olive ink. This is a new color for our kits. We haven't had this color yet. Oh, and I just got a piece of cat fur on my ink pad. That's what happens when your cat walks across your counter. Actually, it doesn't matter where the cat walks. His fur gets everywhere. Alright, and then I'm just going to stamp this down at the bottom, and you can decide which part, because obviously not the whole thing's going to fit. So if you want this end, I think on my original I did it about here, but you know what, I think I'm going to go with that end. Get that other little bush in there. There we go. Okay, clean that. And that's the only time I think I'm going to need that stamp, because I think I'm going to use the tree on the inside and on my envelope. So now I'm going to pull out my Evening Evergreen. This is one of my favorite greens. Love this color. And we're going to stamp that. I'm going to stamp it off to the left of my watercolor paper. Right about there. And then I'm also going to stamp the same trees on the inside, the bottom right, even so they go slightly off the side. And then I'm going to do the same trees because I really like these trees. I'm going to use them on the envelopes in the bottom left. There we go. And since I didn't do my sample earlier, I'm going to go ahead and do that one now. There we go. Now I have an envelope to go with both of my cards. So envelopes are done, inside's done. Now we need to stamp our deer. Oh dear. Any of the browns would work. I was kind of torn between the soft suede and what was the other one I thought? Oh, gray granite. I thought gray granite would be a good color for the deer as well. But I went with the soft suede because we're going to use it on another project for trees, tree trunks. Okay, so ink this up and flip it over. Then, oh, I just realized I used a scrap piece from another project. Excuse me, so I actually have some stamping on the back of this one. Alright, drop it down on there, and then get another block and push down. Now, as I've mentioned many times for those who might be new to the blog, if you have the kit and you don't have the dies, this is the best way to get that image. If you bought the dies, just stamp this on another piece of paper and cut it out with the die. It will work better that way. Okay, our stamping is done. Excuse me, I told you. Here it comes. Now, what I want to do on here, if you notice there's a difference in the way these look, that's because this paper has a bit of texture to it. But what I really wanted to do, the reason I'm using watercolor paper, is I wanted to blend these colors out. So I've got my aqua pen, or my water painter, as it's called, water pen, I'm not sure the name. Squeeze a little water out there. And then I'm going to take, and I'm just going to touch to there, and look, it kind of blends that color out. And I'm going to do it in a very rough motion so that it matches the tree branches. It doesn't look like a triangle. Let's kind of get that. And it's just what it's doing, because it's a water-based ink, you're now, and because this is watercolor paper, it allows you to blend that ink around and just makes the tree look more full. There we go. Blend that in there. And then I just like to brush off the darker color. And I'll do the same thing with this lighter. I need to squeeze again. My water's not coming out. There we go. And I want to do the same thing with this lighter color in this area. Look, see how that fills that in? Just kind of, there we go. Blend that color out. Oh, my water's not wanting to come out of this one. There we go. Kind of fill in the bush a little bit, make it look a little fuller. And bring the color all the way down. If I can get more of my water coming out. There we go. And that's that. So I'll let that dry a little bit while I go ahead and assemble our card. This one is a pretty quick and easy one to put together. It's a quick and easy card altogether. We're going to fold our card base. Grab my bone folder. And then on this piece here, I'm going to hold this up against it so I can see where. I want to tear off this edge. And so I'm just going to take my fingers and just tear it down. Not taking too much off, maybe 1/4 of an inch off. Maybe, yeah, that's about 1/4 of an inch off of the side of that. And then we'll go ahead and start assembling. So, adhesive, adhesive, and adhesive. Stampin' Seal. I'm just going to stick it on all of it while I have it out here. 1, 2. Now this one I am going to make sure I get the edges pretty well. It's a little bit warped on the bottom, not too much because we didn't use a lot of water on this one. But I'm going to put some down there. Okay, and then some adhesive for the inside panel. Alright. So here's my card. I'm going to do this upside down, as I usually do. Put this on the inside. There we go. I dropped some water right there. And then this piece is going to be kind of centered, and because this is rough, what I'm going to do is make sure this 3 sides are about equal. There we go. Oh, actually, I think I need to bring it over more. I think it's going to need to be, there we go, not quite equal. Looks like I have a higher or a bigger gap there, not as much on the sides. And then this can go on here. And that will just depend on how much of this you tear off. Because here it looks like I tore a little more off than this one. So totally up to you how much you tear. There we go. And then the deer we're just going to pop up with some dimensionals. I have some of the minis. Some of the mini dimensionals here. Now because those legs are so tiny, let me trim this off real quick. I'm going to cut a couple of these. I don't usually cut these tiny ones, but his legs are pretty small, and so I'm going to use at least on one of the legs here, and probably his back leg. There we go. That looks good. Get my little trash cup over here. We had our first really hot day yesterday. Got up to 95, which for us that's pretty warm. I know for a lot of you that's not, but for here that's pretty warm. Okay, and then just stick your deer down, and there we go. We have a finished project already, quick and easy. And where's our envelopes? There they are. Now, you could even, let me get my aqua pen real quick, my water pen. Try to get some color or some water out of it. There we go. And let's see how well it blends on here. See, you can do the same thing on the envelopes. It won't bleed out quite as much as it does on the watercolor, but it still gives it a nice, like, a green highlight behind the tree. There we go. Oh, I kind of like that. I might have to do that to the inside. So there you go. I did one with, one without. You can decide which way you like it better. Alright, well, that is it for today's project. I will be back next week with project number 2. And we're going to play around with some more watercolor techniques. Until then, God's love and blessings to you. Bye!